How about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Crazy all day, baby.
You're listening to the Red Out Podcast.
Hello and welcome into another Red Out Podcast. My name is Devin, and I'm regretful that we haven't been able to be having the podcast here in past few weeks, but life happens, and with this pandemic, COVID happens and all that good stuff. And we've got Jared in the house. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. Just living hectic, you know. Alex?
Oh, yeah, I feel you, man.
Do we have Alex?
Yes.
Good. How are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm good. How about y'all?
Doing good. It's just a little chaotic. You know how it goes sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I worked Black Friday yesterday, so yeah, I understand what chaotic means.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet you do, buddy. I've only, I guess, I don't know if I would say volunteered, but I've only gone out I went with my mother one year for Black Friday shopping. And I may have gone one other time, but that was it. And I did drive then girlfriend, now wife, to when she used to work at Best Buy to her work at like 2 or 3 in the morning because she thought the roads were going to be so packed that nobody would be able to get through there.
Yeah.
But that was fun, yeah. Black Friday's crazy. I actually heard that there were not as many Black Friday shoppers as they anticipated.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand, at least outside of Rivergate in Nashville, there wasn't much of anybody. I mean, compared to what it traditionally would be, but it was not as super busy. Like even my mom, I think she went to Myers and Ollie's and a bunch of other places in Bowling Green, and she talked like Bowling Green wasn't even that bad either. So I guess that's probably due to COVID. Everybody's ordering stuff online. But, I mean, as a retail person, thank you.
Yes, I was going to say, I mean, it's good for the economy, as I put quotes in the air, but you know, it just happens. And I can understand people's apprehension from going out, especially with this virus. I guess winners and losers. My first loser would have to be the Baltimore Ravens.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, the COVID outbreak that is plaguing the Ravens. And I guess slight explanation why we haven't had the podcast the past couple weeks. One of the guys that I worked with, he was off the Monday of the the Southern Miss week, and he came in Tuesday, and his wife called him. I mean, almost immediately once he walked in the door, because it was like 8:39, and she said her son, who is a hypochondriac, said that he couldn't taste anything and he had a fever. And he couldn't smell anything. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So when he went and got checked out, got tested, the doctor that checked him out said, no, he doesn't have it. You know, just from what I'm seeing, got the COVID results back and they were positive.
Yeah.
So my coworker went into isolation. And then I think a week into his isolation, he started feeling bad. So now he's tested positive as of last week. And his quarantine is scheduled to end in 2 days, this coming Monday. Of course, he's in his 50s. So he was dead dog sick. I mean, he had the cough, the fatigue, you know, at one point he was having issues breathing. But he's on the mend as far as I know. He's doing a lot better. And you may hear Abby in the background playing with my wife. She's just figured out screaming, so it's fine.
And she'll never forget now too. So.
No, yeah. Yeah, she likes to be heard. But so last week my wife developed a cough, and so your mind goes to, you know, basically, oh shit, COVID. Yeah. So, you know, she was feeling really ill, started her on some medication, trying to see, you know, kind of like what's going on. She got tested this past Tuesday, and she did the rapid test, and it came back negative. So everything's good there. We're all good as far as health is concerned.
That's
But
good.
it just makes things so hectic. Um, the week that my coworker went out, I didn't get a day off. Second week, I really didn't. I didn't get a day off then either. So
Yeah.
it's just been crazy busy at work, and like I said, I felt like I kind of owed everyone, all of our listeners, an explanation. So that's my chaotic life, and that's kind of why I sound like I've got a cold right now, because I do.
Yeah.
But taking Mucinex and Dayquil, and I even tried Zicam. I don't know if anybody else has tried that, but I would not recommend it. It feels like it's just made me have more of a cold, which is
Yeah.
part of my conspiracy theory with colds. But anyway, sorry. Jared, do you have any winners or losers?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's definitely. Ooh, goodness. Yeah.
I know it sounds like she's in the room, but she's like literally below me, an entire floor down.
Wow, that's impressive. She's got some lungs.
We call her
But
the Raptor. She's the Velociraptor.
yeah,
Nice.
I would have to say winners. I definitely got to give a shout out to Alex Fuller, Sarah Fuller. Yeah, that's her name, Sarah, the
Yes.
pitcher for Vanderbilt.
Yes.
What she did today was very significant. I hope that kind of paves the way for more female punters. I know that Franklin Simpson on the state championship team that we had, I think in 2017, 2018, one of
Okay.
those years, they actually had a female punter too, and she was amazing. So I definitely commend anybody, like any coach that gives a girl the opportunity to do that, because they can do it. And I mean,
Yeah.
they can take some hits too. I mean, just because they're a girl doesn't mean they can't get a hit in her every now and then. I mean, they can do all right. So I mean, major shout out to Sarah. Amazing thing to do.
Yeah, completely agree. It sounds like we have Ross.
Hey guys.
Sounds like you're
What's
having the
up,
same.
Ross?
Sounds like you're having the same issue I am.
Hey,
I feel like I can hear
I put on a TV show for the kids. We'll see how long I can make it through this. Yes.
Very good.
Buddy, don't even sweat it. I've got the little Velociraptor downstairs, and you'll hear her every now and then. So I apologize ahead of time, but just it's just part of it, guys. Alex, winners and losers.
Winners, I would have to say, is just college basketball fans everywhere. They were treated this whole entire week to the start of
Amen.
college basketball season, especially having games on Thanksgiving, which it was
Preach.
a trip to see. Like, they were more entertaining than the NFL games.
Yeah, forget the
This
NFL.
And the losers would have to be the Ravens Steelers situation. I think the game got moved twice. A couple Steelers players actually tested positive, James Conner, the running back, being one of them. So now it's already going to put the game in more jeopardy. So it's like, do they just move it an extra day? Or do they
Well,
have
see-
to reschedule it? Or it's like, it's in limbo right now.
My thing is did Lamar Jackson test positive? Because they said he was out,
Yeah,
and I didn't know if that was is that injury related or COVID.
COVID.
Okay. Honestly, if he gets COVID, which they said I guess she said he did, but I'm hoping he's asymptomatic and doesn't have any of this bad stuff going on. But prayers are with him anyway. Anybody, Alex, you got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Ross, long time. Winners and losers, buddy.
I would like to echo what Alex kind of said. I think, us getting some good Thanksgiving basketball and kind of reminded me, that it's been such a weird year with, the schedule with football and stuff like that. This would normally be a rivalry. So it's good to, get everything kind of back on normal. And it was great to start off the season with a bang, and other than that, I would say just on a, sports specific. Notre Dame won in yesterday. I think they've basically if they can maybe make the playoff even if they lose to Clemson. The second time in the ACC championship. So
Wow.
Notre Dame's kind of a lightning rod, but they're really putting together a good season. So it'd be interesting to see them in the college football playoff. And then I would say some losers. Just the college football rankings. BYU, where were they at 14? They kind of got screwed. Winner Cincinnati, maybe they can sneak somewhere in there. I mean, they were 7 or 8 guys, and that'd be, as G5 fans, I think that'd be really cool for see a school like Cincinnati find a way to sneak into the playoffs. I think a lot of stuff's got to happen, but let's cheer for it. So
yeah, hey, I'm fine with a local group getting it.
Also, I would love to see whoever wins the college football championship this year to take the NFC East playoff spot for the playoffs because they would be better than anyone that will actually win that division. It's terrible.
Yes, I completely agree there. And actually, I will echo kind of what Alex was saying. For the first year that I can remember, of course, my family ended up coming up here because I was on call for work, but we actually sat and watched Western versus Memphis. Yeah. And that was just it kind of felt weird, but it was kind of fun at the same time to watch basketball on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
it was like, I mean, we're a football family, so it was kind of like, okay. But it was fun. I enjoyed it.
I could tell from just the interaction that like people were geared up about it. There was the casual Western fans were out in force the last 3 days, and that's a great thing to see. That's it kind of reminds hey, you play some big time games on channels that are easy to find. You actually get a little bit of an audience. So
yeah, and after we beat Memphis, there was a lot of national talk about Western after that. I mean, I've seen people say that we're almost a Final Four caliber team. I've had other people on the internet I've seen that are experts saying that we'll for sure be a team in mid-major to be dealt with. It's one of the toughest teams. So just having those games on ESPN recently is going to be huge just to kind of show everybody what we are.
I tell you one player that I guess we'll kind of jump into this with basketball. One player that I was really surprised and I thought did really well was Williams. What's his first name?
Carson.
I thought that, but I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Carson Daddy Williams.
Carson Williams. I was really impressed with him. I thought he's
just a scrapper. Just junkyard dog.
He is. I thoroughly enjoyed him playing, I guess, the 5. And, I mean, I thought he played really well. Bassie taking the kind of NBA 3 was nice to see during the Memphis game. I don't know. I'll have to check the stats. Some of you may know if Western had more fouls that game than normal since they wore the black. That's Jake's favorite stat. Let me see.
I know Western dominated that part of the game. I mean, that stands ball to a T where you rack up the fouls on the other team, and against Memphis it worked. Against West Virginia yesterday is where that kind of was our Achilles heel during that that big run that they made. Is we were not getting the foul calls on us and for us and. I think that was a big reason, along with Hollingsworth and Bassie's little mini injuries that kind of really hurt us from pulling the upset yesterday.
Jared, what did you think of the game yesterday? Did you watch?
Yesterday was the one I didn't get to see, but I got to see Northern Iowa and Memphis. Both of those great games. The fact that we won that Northern Iowa game is incredible because any other season we would have gotten run off the court with the team shooting 23 pointers and actually making them is crazy because that's what Belmont has done to us the past 5 years. And we were actually able to hold them off as good as they were shooting from deep. I think if they would have made 2 more threes, I think they would have broken some type of NCAA record for most threes, probably.
Probably right.
Yeah, so that was a big win. And they'll probably end up winning the Missouri Valley Conference as well. They're a team that will be they'll upset somebody in the tournament. So that will likely happen. And the Memphis game was such a great game to watch. I mean, just very physical. Very back and forth. I thought that we held our ground really well. Memphis was trying to come back, but we were actually able to hold them off. So it was great to be able to see that. But my favorite player that I've been the most surprised with was Damion Mcknight. That first game that he had against Northern Iowa, scoring over 20 points in his very first collegiate game, was amazing. That gives us a lot of hope for the future. I mean, I can only dream about what it's going to be like when him and Zion Harmon are on the court at the same time. So that's going to be incredible to watch. But he's going to be great even this season, too. I mean, depending on his minutes and if he can continue to develop, I mean, he's going to be solid.
Now, see, I think Kenny Cooper was a big integral part to the Memphis game, especially. Alex, what were your thoughts over the past few games?
I didn't get to see the Northern Iowa game and the Memphis game due to me being pretty much not around Wi-Fi at the time in my hometown of Mayfield. But yesterday I was thankful to actually get up on it. That way I could do the recap and watch the game. And for what I've gathered, yesterday was nothing to hang our heads about because we came out of the gate and held on with a ranked team like West Virginia. So it just shows like not only the improvement we made this season, but we are deserving of the national recognition that we're getting is because this is a scrappy team. I feel like we're going to do really well in conference play, but non-conference, I honestly am excited to see them go against Louisville. I feel like we have a really good chance to beat Louisville upcoming because it's just how the team we are.
I think you're right. I as long as all the pieces are there, and from the Memphis game, if they come out with that swagger they had against Memphis and I think they've got it. I agree with you on the West Virginia. It's a 15th ranked team currently. That team's probably going to be pretty good. Now, will they break the top 10? I don't know, but it's a decent loss for this time of year. The Arkansas Little Rock game got postponed. Is that right?
Yeah.
No, it just got shuffled around because they joined that tournament.
Okay. I just didn't know if there was like, hey, I didn't know if there was some Arkansas Little Rock COVID I didn't know about or whatever, but no worries there. And of course, everybody does know that the Western game got pushed. It was supposed to be today, and it got pushed to Tuesday. Western Charlotte football. Ross, what did you think of football or basketball? I'm sorry.
Okay, good. Yeah, I want to talk football too, but basketball, there's a lot to be excited about. I think I've said it a lot, whether it was on my personal account or to my friends or whatever. This is this is the team we've been waiting for. So Stansbury finally has the great combination of depth, of experience, of talent. I think we were always missing one of those over the last 3 years, and really the last 4 years of his tenure. Finally, now you got to the point where all of them and it really showed these the first 3 games. I mean, if you look at this game, they had a bad stretch where they just had some bad injury luck and then some substitution patterns. I mean, you guys rewatch the game on Hilltop or Vault. I'm always going to plug that guy because he does a really good job. Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But I think he's still learning the lineups. I think he's got to. Josh Anderson was so good in the first half yesterday, and then he didn't play him during that crucial stretch, and that's when they got back in the game. You combine that without Bassey and Hollingsworth, like that's why they went on their run. Like Anderson can match up with anybody. He's not going to be a high scorer, but he's just going to be a big glue guy this year. Cooper's struggled a little bit. None of the point guards have really taken off, but we've got 3 capable guys with Rawls, Cooper, and McKnight, and then Hollingsworth's right where he left off last year. Williams is going to get you some good just junk games like he did against Memphis, and Bassey's basically reclaimed his draft stock through the first 3 games. Like even yesterday with having he basically played 3 minutes the first half with 2 fouls, and then had a little injury concern in the middle of the second half. He still finished with 15 points, 7 rebounds, and a couple blocks. So I think this is the year Bassey puts together, and I think he's going to, we've been checking these draft boards for years on him, and I think he's finally going to get back into it now. So, the sky's the limit with this team. I'm actually going to be at the Louisville game on Tuesday, and, I'm really excited. I think Samuel Williamson, one of their top players, might be out of the game with an injury, and if that happens, I think I'm going to be really interested to see what the line is. It could be close to a pick 'em.
So I don't know if I was the only one or not, but during this little invitational tournament, whatever you want to call it, was it weird to look in the stands and not see anybody?
Yeah, kind of.
A little bit.
But, I mean, we've had tournaments like that in the past where there would basically be nobody there. So I mean, a Conference USA
Right.
tournament.
Yeah.
But even then, you have they could find the pocket of 50 fans and just show them the whole game.
Yeah, sure.
Alex, what do you think, bud?
It's weird, but it's also going to be really interesting whenever the Blue Bloods start playing and all the big conferences like the SEC, the Big Tens, the ACC start playing each other. So I feel like most of college basketball, to some extent, goes off of crowd noise, goes off of reactions, goes off of support. You basically have that next to nothing, like shoes squeaking and a
Yeah.
media crew. That's about it. So I feel
Yeah,
like
it's,
it's gonna bring out a lot.
and
I
I mean,
think
you can
that helps
really
a
hear the
team like
coaches
us.
over that, which is funny to me.
See, what Western needs to do in Diddle is just take Matt McKay and have all of his samples of him cheering and be like,
Defense, Tops, defense.
and just
my
playing
God.
that at a loud volume. So
Yes.
that's what they ought to do.
Ah, you're gonna make me look this video up. I gotta find this video now of Matt.
See, honestly, why can't we just choose like the biggest fans and just have them be the ones that are in Diddle? I think that would be great.
I get some of the most weird calls from Matt sometimes, or messages. So it may take me a second to find this little video. I can find it. I wonder, did he send it to me or did I?
Not to mention the mid majors are going to raise all kinds of heck this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Virginia getting beat by San Francisco yesterday. Yeah, that was another big one.
It was astounding.
I mean, it is Virginia, so I mean, I would expect them to lose to a mid-major team that has yellow in their jersey. That's just canon at this point.
Okay, I can't find it. It's gonna drive me nuts though. But anyway, I love the video Matt did several years back where he was like through the tire and he's like, "Weston is on fire." I love that day. That cracks me up. Honestly, I was expecting like cutouts in the stands or something like that. I don't know. It's a different time, so it's kind of different for me, and I'm sure it's different for a lot of people, but it's at least we have sports.
I think the reason why they didn't even have those was because they were supposed to have fans like 20%, and in the last minute they just canceled it. So I don't think they had enough time to do that. And really, I think there was only one home team up there anyway, South Dakota State. So
my question is there people in South Dakota to even go to a basketball game anyways?
No, I think they're just like out hunting moose or something.
Probably.
Or at a
Sioux Falls, where that was, I mean, it is bigger than Bowling Green. So just an FYI.
Okay, I'll give you that. At least we've got Louisville to look forward to on the 1st. Jared, what do you think our outlook is?
I mean, I think it's pretty solid just with the core that we have. Having that tournament in South Dakota is going to pay dividends for the rest of the year. Being able to play strong competition like that very early on should hopefully get us ready for sure by conference tournament time. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't really seen much of Louisville. I saw that they beat Evansville pretty big, but they only beat Seton Hall by 1. That was a really close game. I'll see how they look. I think they play the 29th. I'll probably try to watch that game and see how Louisville looks. I haven't got to watch them play yet, but I think we have a pretty decent shot. It's our best shot of beating them that we've had in the past several years, for sure.
Yes, you are right. They're going to play Prairie View A&M on the 29th. Of course, we're going to play Prairie View A&M. I think
Jeremiah Gambrell.
Play them the day after we play Louisville.
It's on the 3rd at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Louisville game's going to be on the ACC network, so if you can watch it, check it out. If not, hopefully Hilltop Revolt will be able to get it, and you can watch it there. But I will say, I'll throw in my 2 cents before I let the other guys throw their cents in. Louisville's looking at a 54.9% matchup probability on ESPN. So that's a little over half. I'll take that. That's not bad. Alex, what do you think, buddy?
I honestly think that going into the game, Bazzi is healthy. I know that Bazzi did get injured like around December of last year, but going up to that point, he was kind of up and down on just certain parts of his play. But what we've seen from him the past 3 days, like I'm definitely confident that he's definitely gonna get some stats and be a huge impact in the Louisville game. But also we have the bench to contend now with the
Yeah.
rotations going in and out. So it's gonna be pretty interesting Tuesday night.
Ross, what is your analysis? What do you think is going to happen?
Sorry, I've been muting and unmuting. I think, Louisville is they're a very young team. I've watched both their first 2 games, bits and pieces. Against Evansville was god-awful. You couldn't really get much other than that. Louisville is going to be athletic and talented. Seton Hall is a perennial tournament team right now, and that was a pretty good win yesterday. I think Bassey's going to be able to, impose as well. It's going to be how the other guys play against Louisville's long athletic team. And, getting to play teams like Memphis and West Virginia is going to give us a leg up against them. I think it just kind of comes down to, Bassey needs to stay out of foul trouble and really impose as well on the game. And then, somebody like Hollingsworth or any of the supporting cast after that. Hollingsworth needs to have his usual, 18 to 20 point game. And then, if you get a Carson Williams or a Damion Mcknight or whoever comes out, Western's 9 deep. So I think the formula is you get Hollingsworth and Bassey doing their thing, and then, 1 or 2 other players have to step up the rest of the way and you're good. So, I think, they're more than capable, and really, the unfortunate thing is Northern Iowa and Memphis both lost out after playing us the other day. So, we need this win for our resume.
Definitely.
You win this, you're 3-1. Little Rock on a week from yesterday on Friday is going to be a really good test too. I think they're a Sun Belt contender. But other than that, you got that and Rhode Island, and so basically, this is going to be a huge make or break for Western's resume. If they want a shot in that large, they probably need to win the game. And, if they do win the game, it's going to really help where they would be the difference between a 7 to 10 seed or a 12 or 13 seed. So it's going to be huge to win that game.
I think it's a must-have, like you said. And I kind of like the move of Bassey to, what would y'all say, like the 4, and then you got Williams at the 5. I like that.
Interchangeable, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it kind of puts the pressure off Bassey. And I mean, especially with now he's got a 3-pointer in his arsenal. That is amazing for me. Makes me extremely psyched about Western's basketball season. I think we'll do fine against Louisville. I'm hoping for a win. They are currently 2-0. And of course, we're going to be up, like you said, up in Louisville. The game's on ACC Network. Don't even sweat it. Is the Yum at 20% or 20%? What are we looking at on that? Or do we know?
I think it's at 15. I think there's only going to be. We bought them straight through U of L. Me and 3 other buddies that went to Western, and I think 1,500 fans. So I don't think they're serving any. I don't think they're selling any beverages or food, and you basically have to wear your mask the whole game. So
that sucks.
Yeah,
it's definitely a lot different experience. For sure.
Yeah, like football. Yeah, you can you can buy a drink and kind of just nurse that, go back and forth. But yeah, I'd be really interested to see like in person where if you're nothing to drink, you're just sitting there just enjoying the game. I mean, it's going to be a kind of surreal experience.
I know. I'm just going to say I know what some of my family would do, and they'd sneak some of that like 2 liters in or something, like they do with the movies. So that game's, like I said, December 1st, which is in 3 days or something, 4 days.
Yeah, it's on Tuesday.
It's on Tuesday. Yeah. Tuesday, 6 p.m. ACC Network at 6 p.m. Eastern. So check that out. Maybe on the 2nd. If you didn't get to watch it, you can watch it on Hilltopper Vault. I'm not going to jinx us, but hopefully it'll be able to be available. So football. I know. Put the title of this episode "Twilight" for this season. It's been a rough year, guys.
Yeah.
I think we all can agree.
It's been better lately.
It's been better lately. Yes, I agree. the last game we previewed was the Southern Miss game, and Western ended up winning that game 10-7. And it's just, I don't know. It was just an ugly game.
Yeah.
I mean, Western led most of the game. They got their first touchdown or their only touchdown in the first quarter, field goal in the second, and they did not score again the rest of the game. And Southern Miss got a touchdown with 10:30 to go in the fourth. That's ugly. Ugh. Sounds bad, but it's kind of good that the tickets were limited so that the fans didn't have to watch that one.
Frank Gore was in attendance, though, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, because isn't it Frank Gore Jr. who plays for Southern?
Yes.
Yeah. Western won the first downs. Western had the possessions, and Western had total yards. No turnovers for either team.
I mean, it was basically we're winning on the defense, and that's kind of what our strategy is. Really, the last month, as long we're sticking with Pigram, and we're just going to say, okay, defense, you do everything you can, and offense is going to do just enough. We're going to try to run the ball, and against FAU, you came up just short against Southern Miss, and against FIU, against some weaker opponents, it's proven to work. I think we're going to look back if we don't get to play in a bowl game, which there's rumors if we win Tuesday that we will, but we'll look back and say, dang, that FAU game where we gave up that last minute drive, or that last drive of the game is going to be like the stinger. It's like, man, I think Helton, as the season's progressed, has kind of figured out, okay, I don't have it on offense, and we're not going to get it, so let's lean on the running game, lean on the defense, and see what happens. And against FIU, it worked out perfection with 2 defensive touchdowns. So,
I agree. And the bad thing is I don't like leaning on the defense, like you said, but offensively we are kind of quote handicapped. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We're kind of at a disadvantage on offense, and I don't know if it's just 2020 and we just chuck it up to that like Jared's wanting to do, or just I
mean, here's the one thing I would say about Pigram, and he drives us all crazy. He doesn't throw interceptions, at least. So
that is true.
And I think that's the fact that he hasn't done that the whole season, believe it or not, has been what's kind of kept him in the lineup. Because
his fumbles have been bad though.
His fumbles, but he hasn't fumbled the last couple games. So I think they're just willing. Okay, you're going to be the ultimate game manager for us. And now that he's done that, that's I don't know. Personally, I'd like to see them try to get somebody. They had senior day the other day. I think about 3/4 of the seniors participated. Some big ones like Malone and Gage Walker and Devin Key and some others, but Pigram didn't participate in that. And just you got to hope to God that Helton doesn't just say Pigram, it's your team next year. He's got to push him next offseason and find. We've got to find a way to get it go. So
I think so too. I agree with that. I mean, not necessarily push him out the door, but just say, hey, maybe there's another opportunity out there for you to do something else, But
I mean, I kind of wish that Stephen Duncan was a lightning rod for us, but God, you can't. At least he put up passing yards. I mean, it's just crazy how much he might have had the same issues that Pigram had a little bit, but just the vertical passing game, it just makes you want to pull your hair out.
It's like that one meme of the guy pointing at his forehead or whatever, and he's like, you can't throw interceptions if you don't throw the ball.
Exactly, yeah. Alex, what have you thought so far?
Going into both football games from Southern Miss to FIU, that is the type of season where the defense has been the literal anchor. The fact that the defense scored 2 back-to-back touchdowns in the FIU game, and meanwhile took a while for our offense to pick back up under Pigram, it just shows like maybe this offense wasn't going to be that stout this year. Like originally, things have picked back up. Gage Walker has been doing a great job. The running game is proven to be our bread and butter once again. It just Pigram, like Ross is running the money on that. Pigram is a game manager quarterback. He's not going to put up big yards, but still, it's like he's going to keep passing the ball. He's going to try to not throw interceptions. Fumbles is a different story, but it's just the offense that we were destined to have. And I think that the one saving grace about this whole year that we're still somewhat in talks of bowl contention is just our defense.
Yeah. And I think the defense is, I think everybody was going into the season thinking we're fine on defense. There's nothing to sweat. And then it was kind of like, I mean, I guess with not having spring ball and all that, the joints weren't loosened up, so to speak. And so it took the defense a little bit more time to get into it. Of course, the offense still hasn't gotten into their stride, but I think defense, especially with the FIU game, they definitely got to their stride, getting the defensive touchdowns, and I mean, just playing phenomenally. And I'm just hoping that the quote perfect storm can happen against Charlotte on December 1st.
I mean, it's a pick 'em right now. So I think, they haven't played I'm still waiting for their guy to give me the questions back, but they haven't played since Halloween. So
yeah,
we're going to, it's kind of a good thing we haven't really talked about on this podcast, but made it through the whole season with, the only postponement pushed the game back 3 days. Like, we made the whole season without COVID wrecking our season, which is, it's a minor miracle. And having that, we're going to have momentum, not be rusty. We're going to be, Charlotte could come out and just, be out of it. Like, there might be motivation to close strong. And I've heard whispers from, people who DM us and everything else that, a bowl game is, even at 5-6, is really on the table. So maybe this team is motivated to finish the season strong. I mean, it wouldn't be perfect, but finishing the regular season with 3 straight wins. And, I said it after we beat, FIU, or after we beat Southern Miss. It's like, okay, at least we're not at the Sanford era. We're at 4 wins, which the low there was 3. So it's like, okay, we can just chalk this season up to COVID as opposed to being seriously worried about the coaching staff or stuff like that. So,
okay.
The only thing I could see that could be an issue is the fact that it's at 9:30 in the morning Central Time. That's got to be rough.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, still haven't. I mean, okay,
and
but
Tuesday too. This is
on a
like
Tuesday.
Sunbelt era stuff. It's like 9:30 on a Tuesday. That reminds me of Sunbelt era.
Dude, I don't even remember playing that early at the Sun Belt. I think our earliest game was like 11 something.
I remember having those games on like Wednesday night though, and I'd be going to campus for something at night, and I wouldn't be able to find a freaking parking spot anywhere.
That's probably right. Okay, let's go down the line. Jared, do you think a bowl game redeems the coaching staff this year? Not a win, just a bowl game.
Well, I mean,
we get a bowl game, or are they redeemed?
So. We're still under 500, so I say no. If we win the bowl game, then that would be different because that would even us out. We would have a bowl win, and that negates a lot of the bad things that happened. But there's still not much of an excuse for the reason why we've underperformed as bad as we have. That someone should eat a little bit of crow for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, if we win a bowl game, if we're actually in one and win it against a somewhat decent team, I'll take that.
Alex, if we go to a bowl game, what do you think?
I really don't think it would redeem anything. If anything, it would just keep the seat cold proverbially. Not like we're going to push Hilton out the door tomorrow or anything, but going into next year, it's like if we did get if we for some strange reason lose on Tuesday against Charlotte and that ends all our hopes, that's when discussions will start going. Like, judging from the season we had under COVID, granted, but it just goes to the standard that Western has been trying to uphold since the beginning of the Petrino era, and it just graduated onto the Brom era. So it's like the certain standard that you would have to hold when it comes to not only the recruiting, but just the coaching and the job you're going to do with your coaching staff.
There's the Raptor. Ross, what are your thoughts, buddy? Bowl game or bowl game and win, or bowl game and nothing? Are they redeemed?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. She's not even in the same room. It's just the mic's picking her up really well.
Okay. I mean, I don't think it doesn't redeem the season. It just makes it where it makes it palatable. It makes it, you can swallow it. It's like, starting off, what were we, 1-5 or 1-6 to start off the season,
Yeah.
and to finish 6-6 or 5-6 and then 6-6 with a bowl win. I think you can say, okay, well, COVID screwed up everything. He made a bad decision at quarterback, but you know what? They rallied, and he's two for two in bowl seasons. Like, you can sell with this a strong close, as opposed to if they would have limped on to like a 2-9 finish or something, and then you're really hitting the panic button. So this coaching staff has at least shown that they can do what it takes to win games. They can win ugly. I think we all want to see Helton and Ellis and the offensive staff put it together, because it's been just infuriating how bad we've been on offense, and really how much we're cheering, getting 278 yards of offense against, FIU and 300, that would be a half in the Brom era. And, comparing stuff to the best era of all time isn't great. But this guy, those were two coaches that were on the staff of that. It's like, what do you guys got to do to get, this offense to consistently get 30 a game? Not 40, not 50, just get 30 a game. And that's going to win you a whole lot of football games moving forward and help you get to that, that level that we all aspire to be. I think that's why I'd be like, okay, we make a bowl game, we keep the momentum going. If we make a bowl game this year, think about it, guys. That is 9 bowl eligible seasons in 10 years. Like, the only one was Stanford's last season that we didn't do that. So it's been a hell of a run, and if you can salvage that, you can sell that. And if they can figure out a way to plug a lot of holes in the roster next year, there's some weapons that they've developed this season. You would squint, but it's like, okay, we got a good staff, we just got to get a mulligan and find an offense. So
yeah, I agree with that. Mr. Hilltopper makes a good point, writing in saying we don't have the money to make a move. Yeah,
exactly.
Conference-wise, no. Unless I win, $1 trillion or whatever in the lottery, definitely going to support Western and make this podcast go wild. But I think I'll kind of echo what you all say. Let's say everything goes golden. Win Charlotte, get the bowl bid, we win the bowl game, and I think we have a good season next year. I could see Helton leaving. I could see him getting offers. What do you all think?
I don't know. It just depends on how we would look next season. If we have like another 9-4 season like his first year,
yeah, that's what I was saying.
Definitely help him a lot. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what's available.
Right. I think it would be more.
Ross, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying Helton's not the sexiest coach. I don't think he's really a raw, laid back, and he's very, kind of personal. So even compared to like a Brom or something, he doesn't have that big, sexy offense. I think it's one of those years where one of those coaches is going to take a couple of years. He's going to have to win big to get the next job. And this year, if there is one silver lining, it probably pushes back his, eventual departure a few years.
See, I think I'll throw out a big word. I think you're remiss in comparing him to Brom. I wouldn't compare him to Brom. I would compare him to like Willie Taggart. Willie was not sexy. Okay.
No, but he could recruit at a high level.
He grinded out wins when he needed to, and the offense, at least with Bobby Rainey, looked decent.
Yes.
Like, we had K1 Jakes as quarterback, and the offense still looked decent.
Yes.
Well, no, I mean, but Taggart could sell recruiting and excitement and juice and all that junk that he was selling. And
nobody's got it better than us.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I really just don't see that. When you're trying to impress athletic directors or search committees or whatever, that Helton's going to be able to do that unless he just keeps winning big. And I think this year showed that it might be a couple of years before we win big again. I think he can probably get us back to a bowl again next year, but winning big and taking a big jump. I don't see a P5 or even an AAC team hiring a coach that goes 7-5 next year and selling that to a fan base.
Two things real quick. One, what Mr. Hilltopper just said, saying Willie could recruit Florida too. Yeah, I want to see how Helton recruits because that's a big thing. I haven't really seen many recruits, at least for next year's
Only
class.
2 commits right now. It's
Yeah.
That's been the untold thing, and it's been a little bit of a lapse in our coverage. We've got that commitment from Washington, and then they had some Florida kids that decommitted, and he's been hitting the JUCO really hard. And it's recruiting's. I actually liked his class last year, but recruiting's been slow this year.
But the other thing too,
Yeah.
my second point is that we've lost a lot of people to transfer. I mean, just this week, Garland LaFrance, he announced he was entering the transfer portal. I mean, we lost 2 of our best wide receivers before the season even really started to transfer. And there's been a lot of other smaller players that didn't get as much playing time that transferred as well. So that's something I'm starting to worry about.
There's a story there, and I'm wondering.
LaFrance was just simple playing time. I think the 2 senior receivers are the 2 you got to be worried about. But LaFrance, I mean, he was shuffled from running back to receiver to defensive back. I think he played a little bit of receiver, and then who blames that kid for wanting to leave? It's just, I mean, it's losing. It's if we lose. If you look at the places we lost people to last year, everybody went to FCS, whether it was Quakenbush or Fortenberry or whatever. They all went to a level below. It's if we lose a player to transferring to P5, that's when I'm going to start worrying. That's what Sanford did, and that's a bad trend. But if you can keep your good players, I mean, it sucks to lose some of these role players, but they're usually transferring for a reason, and that's usually playing time. So
completely agree there. So we're gonna step into a scenario here, and I want to hear what you all have to say. I have a feeling I know what the answer is going to be, but the 2014 WKU versus Marshall, when Marshall was ranked number 24 in the nation, and Western ended up playing them and being the Cinderella, and Western fans love it. Was that the biggest game in Western football history, or is there another one that you would like to throw out there? Jared, I will start with you first.
At least for me personally, I think that's the biggest win we've ever had because I was watching that game. It was Black Friday. It was 6 years ago to this day is when that game was. And just seeing our offense and just the back and forth between like Cato going and getting the touchdown and then Dowdy going and throwing the touchdown, it was nonstop scoring. Like 67 to 66 as a final score is completely insane. Like the fact that we got it into overtime, like I remember talking to my dad, I was like, well, I mean, maybe we have a chance. I mean, we got nothing to lose. I mean, this is obviously a ranked team. They haven't lost all year. So, I mean, let's see what happens. And then when we finally got that touchdown and we went for 2, that's when I started to get really freaked out. I was like, we could actually win this game if we do something right here. I was like, well, I mean, once again, we got nothing to lose. We might as well go for it and getting that conversion. Man, I freaked out. Like, that was probably the most hype I had ever been watching a Western football game at the time. So that's a very special memory. And, of course, seeing how ticked off all the Marshall fans were after that, I would love to see that happen every single year. It's beautiful.
Alex, what are your thoughts?
I feel like it is just because it is the biggest program win in the FBS transition. Like, and I will say this, like, if the whole New Year's Six pairings where a mid-major like UCF, for example, can get ranked just with enough, like, if we went undefeated that year, we would have been in a New Year's Eve game scenario. So it's like, it kind of gives you something like, okay, we've had that team before. We just need the right pieces to get back to those days. And if we do, I have a feeling that we may end up going in a New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
That's just my very bold prediction, but that's my answer with an answer, yes. Yes, definitely a big program win.
Ross, what were your thoughts?
I'm kind of back and forth on it. It's probably the best team Western's ever beat when it comes to a regular season game. I think, the stakes really weren't that. I guess the stakes were pretty good because, hey, they were undefeated. We basically ruined their undefeated season. That's great. But, I mean, it helped us go to a bowl. you think, okay, what about the P5 wins we've had? We beat Arkansas, who was a 2-win team, or fired their coach. We beat some crappy Kentucky and Vanderbilt teams. So, I think probably, I think it's probably the best. And it kind of stinks that, you see all the Marshall fans, like, you're still bragging about a game 6 years ago. But it was the combination of, who we beat. It was just really a fun game. Like, that's what, kind of what Jared was saying, like, back and forth, one on a 2-point conversion. There was just so many fun little cocky moments. And, that's probably why. It's the combination of who you beat, where they're ranked, the time of the year, it spawned a rivalry. I think, with all that considered, it's the best one. And, I hope we can have a conversation here in a couple of years where we have a couple more that rivalry. I mean, winning the Conference USA championships were probably more important games. Some bowl wins might have been more important, but that game was just for sheer historical impact and fun, probably tops the list.
I am okay. First off, I'm not a Brom beater. I'm not want to beat my drum and talk about how great it was when Brom was here and all that. But for program history, I would probably agree that it is one of the most crucial games for Western. We beat Marshall, which I know Marshall fans just loathe Western for that year because they were ranked, which makes it even more better for me. They all had to go back to the Dairy Queen in Huntington and cry. But for me, like, personally, I want to mention the game that, where Western beat UK, but then I think, well, that was Joker's last year. It was probably one of the games that got Joker fired. And, they were just a hot garbage mess at the end. So it's really not a game you want to brag about.
Well, they beat Stoops in his first year, too. So, yeah.
Okay. But still, I mean, it's still nothing to write home about. Vanderbilt, Arkansas, just like you were just saying, Ross, it's nothing to write home about, but they're wins all the same. But beating the number 24 team in the nation, no matter who it is an important thing. And I mean, you can still go back and watch, highlights of that game on YouTube. And of course, I think the thing that is the icing on the cake for me is that a player, Willie Mcneil, was the guy who caught the 2-point conversion in the end zone. And knowing him personally, it just adds the icing on the cake to me as to why that's such an important game. And but when people say, well, I don't know if it's necessarily the biggest game or the most important, I think it is. I think for the program, that game was a solidification of Brom's, what am I trying to think of? His era. I mean, just to show, the importance of how he was here at Western. And I think that's what it is. I think that game is very crucial to our legacy here at Western.
Can we just appreciate Brandon Leston for like 5 seconds? Because, man, what a guy.
I was going to say, ready,
I know
starting.
he had some big interceptions in that game, though. But, I mean, he was one of those glue guys on that team that I probably will never forget.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
he was such a scrappy guy, too.
That team's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not undercutting or trying to forget anybody, but just there's so many small parts to that team that just, I mean,
it was the win that set up 2 championships right after it.
Yeah,
that's what you got to look at, because before that, people forget. Before that, they were sitting at 3-5, and then they close out with 5 straight wins to close that season, and that's directly goes in the next year where they start off 8-1, win the Conference USA championship, and then they do it again the next year. So that Marshall win was really the thing that put it over the top and started that championship run. And that's really showed, as Western fans, like the heights that we can reach as a football program. That's why that win was so important.
I agree. We will try to be back on our normal schedule this coming week. I want to try and get back on this coming Wednesday. I'm hoping that, as I was talking about at the beginning of the podcast, that the coworker who was in isolation for COVID will be back to work. I'm hoping and praying he'll be back. Hopefully, we will be back Wednesday. Watch the Western versus Louisville game on the 1st. That's Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern on the ACC Network, or maybe on the Hilltopper Vault on YouTube. Definitely check out Hilltopper Vault. They are posting a lot of historical games for Western, some current, some within the past week or so. If you missed any of the invitational games, you can watch those on Hilltopper Vault. Most of those are up. I did see some of those were up earlier today. Western is playing.
I update our archives after every time YouTube's up there too. So if you go on the Towel Rack,
yes,
we've got, and it's not just Hilltopper Vault games, but we've got 103 football games now and 159 basketball. So we've got every game from this season in football and basketball. So if you ever want to rewatch a game, whether just you missed it like you guys, like Jared yesterday, or man, that game was fun, I want to watch the Memphis game again. Go check out the Towel Rack, and we'll have the YouTube links there. Usually the day after. So,
or if you want to watch the Western Marshall game from 2014, you can watch it there.
Yeah, and it's in chronological order from the most recent season to our oldest season on there. So,
which is like what, the 20s or something, 30s?
We've got that's under the partial game, but like I think 78 in football and I think 71 in basketball. He has the Final Four links. So,
that's crazy.
If it's on YouTube or Vimeo, then I've got it linked on there. So.
Check that out. Western plays at 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central on. Is that the first or? Yeah, I think it's the first as well.
It's a big Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah, Topper Tuesday.
CBS Sports Network, right? I think
so. I'll have to. I already closed out of that window, but definitely check those games out. If you can't be there, listen, support the team, and if you miss the game, check the Towel Rack. They'll have a recap, and we will have updates during the game, so you can follow the Twitter link, and we'll be talking about that. And that's all I've got, guys. Do you all have anything else?
Not really.
I was gonna say it sounds like nothing.
Hey, Jared, how was Cracker Barrel Thanksgiving?
It was great. We didn't have to cook a thing. It was beautiful.
Awesome. That sounds fun. I'll have to try that next year. But I hope everybody had a nice holiday, and happy holidays to you all. And hopefully we will be back this Wednesday. But as always, guys, go Tops.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.
Thanks, guys.
Hey,
glad to have you.
Good to see you guys or hear you guys again. I'm glad I finally got to make one
here. Yes.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
And good job, guys, on the coverage. I think we've gotten a lot of messages saying that they've really appreciated it. So thanks for the hard work, guys.
Hey, thanks, Ross.